Welcome to Crosby's Crew. Welcome back to Crosby's Crew. We are at Hourglass Vineyards down in the cellar, and we're here with Tony Biagi, and we are ecstatic to have this episode in Napa. This should maybe be how all episodes are done in Napa.
Yeah, I think this should be our new home.
Yeah, not a bad choice.
I heard this cave was the little extra dynamite, and we just did some extra exploding in here. It's kind of raw.
This was, as I was told from Jeff Smith, a proprietor, and of course the owner of Hourglass. He did this as sort of shoot from the hip, last second. So
I love it. Well, it turned out awesome. I mean, this is like one of the coolest rooms I've ever been in. So as we do every episode, I'll start us off with a toast, and then we'll dive right in. So to the foundations laid before us, the teammates beside us, and the opportunity to build something worthy of being passed on. Cheers.
Cheers. So Tony, we like to call ourselves wine athletes. We really have just embraced this moniker that we invented for ourselves of the routine and the rhythms and the cycles of Mason's pro athlete career. We're just going to kind of put that right onto our everyday lives now, where we kind of want to feel like how we know we're winning. Like how do we build up to, that moment at the end of the day when all the kids are like showering or doing something other than being in the kitchen, and we're sharing a glass of wine and we're crossing the finish line. And it's really fun. It's been important for us. And so we want to kind of take that vein and that mood and put it on your astounding career and kind of, tease it out of there. And so this episode is how to win building dynasties. And so we followed your career, especially we've had your name float around on the podcast quite a bit with Holly and Keith, our good mutual
Holly and I
friends.
we had a fun time. We had a fun time at Plum Jack together. So yes. So,
yeah, I mean,
subsequent that.
Seems like you guys make some serious wines, but you make sure you never take yourselves too seriously. So do you want to, just for our listeners, run through a little bit of your wine journey, how you ended up here? Give us your highlight reel so they can appreciate what you're leading.
Yeah, I know, it's actually kind of funny. I went to the same high school that David Bectari.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Okay,
and Tom Brady, of course. Yeah, so Tom was an 8th grader when I was a senior. So I knew his sisters really well because they were really good softball players. And he was, everything I mean, he's a very good baseball player as well. And the high school we went to was a baseball sort of factory with Barry Bonds there and Greg Jeffries and so forth. So I went to this school and I wrestled. So I got recruited to wrestle at UC Davis.
Okay.
And never wrestled a day of my life at Davis. I think if you understand wrestling, it's all about losing weight, and I didn't want to lose any more weight.
You just wanted to do it.
I wrestled at 175s in high school, and they wanted me to go to 154s.
Okay.
So, and I'm like,
that's a big shed.
So so I played baseball for a year at Davis. Realized that I wasn't getting any better, and everybody around me was. I think it's just that's the game of baseball. You see people games probably like in football too. Everybody's getting better. Some people aren't. And played rugby for 4 years. But Davis, as you probably know, and you've had on your podcast, is probably the best school right now for winemaking.
Yeah.
And so I had ADHD. I mean, I still do. I mean, definitely. And I took a class in winemaking with Ann Noble. And the wine aroma wheel.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it. So I took my first harvest when I was 19 in 1992, and so I'll be doing my 35th harvest this year.
That's wild.
Worked for some great people. Went to work for Duckhorn right out of college. This is back when everything was small, family owned.
Yeah.
And did the 30-year run of this business. We started at 300 tons. At Duckhorn, we ended up at 1,500 tons. I mean, we 5x'd it in 5 years.
Wow.
And it was just exploding. I learned a lot from Dan Duckhorn and Alex Ryan and Tom Rinaldi, who was my mentor, the winemaker there. And then from there, worked for Mark Neal for a couple of years, helped him get his winery off the ground. Then it was Plum Jack. That's how I met Holly. So she and I were hired on almost the same day.
No way.
And she was hired for sales, and I was hired as the winemaker at 30. So I did that for 10 years. And then in 12, Jeff Smith found me and said, hey, do you want to come make wine for Hourglass? And he allowed me to make a small amount of wine on my own and then also consult. But Hourglass is my main clients, along with Amici and the Vineyardists, and Tokalon Vineyard Company now. So that's what I'm doing. So yeah, it's been a fun ride, a really fun ride in the wave. So
we hope you'll agree with kind of the tie to sports that we've chosen today. And I don't know if you're a Packers fan or just like not Packers adverse, but they've done a really good job at developing quarterbacks.
Yep.
In that they seem to have a pretty good knack for having the next one come up and kind of ascend the throne.
Absolutely, but I'm gonna have to go a little bit back farther than
Okay.
that.
Oh, I like this.
Bill Walsh did that.
Yes.
And then Mike Holmgren did
That's
that.
right.
And so I'm a Niner fan through and through.
There it is.
Gotta
Season
make
ticket
the
holder.
ties.
Season ticket holder.
nice.
Not
Okay.
now anymore. It's just too far away. But growing up in the peninsula, San Mateo, everybody. I mean, Tom Brady talks about it. We all went to 49er games.
I mean, my first uniform I got was a Joe Montana uniform.
Yeah, there you
so
go. So
I
you
grew
get
up a
it.
Niners
You
fan.
get it.
Yeah. I was down there in Texas in cowboy country,
Yeah.
but I love Joe Montana.
You
So
must have
it was
been
just-
you didn't have a lot of friends then.
Exactly.
Back then. That was
when I was little, I didn't know any better, and it was funny. I always tell this story. I was always surprised when the Cowboys were good because I'd watch games with my family and with everyone, and they're dog cussing the TV and getting that, and I'm like, is this how do they make the Super Bowl? Like every time I watch them play, like everyone's mad at them, and they I think they're horrible. I'm 6, 8 years old, and. And then they start winning Super Bowls. But yeah, I was always a huge Joe Montana fan, and I don't like the Niners as much anymore because
I can see that.
Man, they rained on our
broke our
parade.
They broke your heart.
They
I'm
hurt us
sorry.
a few times
They
in the
have. They
playoffs,
have.
but it's all right. We can still get along.
So no.
But you pointed to the architects of the dynasty.
Yeah.
And so you're
like that.
living that out in you're part of a dynasty, a heritage, a lineage of winemaking and being in this area. And then we've got that familial for you, but then you've also done that in your own career. So were you aware of what you were doing? Like, was there did you have a 10-year plan written down somewhere? Like, step 1, make Duckhorn awesome.
Well,
Step
I was
2.
just a cellar worker starting at Duckhorn, but I was mentored by great people, which would be Dan Duckhorn, Alex Ryan, Mark Behringer, Tom Rinaldi. These guys really saw the business in the right way. I mean, Dan Duckhorn doesn't get enough credit and what he saw. I mean, everybody speaks of Robert Mondavi and
But they don't.
revered. And don't get me wrong, he should be.
Sure.
I mean, he's sort of the architect of it all.
Yeah.
But Dan Duckhorn really had an idea on how to grow a brand wholesale wise and direct to consumer wise. He had a really good idea about brand value, brand equity. Even to this day, people still revere that brand. It's been flipped twice.
That's
It's been sold twice. And so I think Dan was how to teach it, how to do everything. And coming up slowly enough to understand that, it is a business, and people forget that. I think a lot of times people think, we run for-profit operations, and that's another thing. When I went to Plumpjack, I really learned that as well. How do you make really, really good wine that's revered in the critics' circles, but yet also, bottom line business and run it in the black?
For sure.
And working for a billionaire, Gordon Getty, of course, Gavin Newsom's an owner there as well, but Gordon really pushed it. He'd always say, I don't care if you make a penny, but you're going to be in the black. And so you learn a lot that way. And so I think, just learning and talking. And I would tell you that, starting when I was winemaker at Plumpjack, I also started Cade and helped start Odette. You don't really have a plan. You just go for it and you do it. And you look back on I don't know how I did this, but yeah, you just put your head down and do it. I'm sure like you guys, it's one, now it's an 18 game season now, or 17 game season with a break. I think sometimes week in, week out, you put your head down one game at a time. That's what you do. You take it one day at a time. How am I going to get through it?
Just even getting into it and playing sports, like any of these things, sometimes you have to just jump in and then you're pivoting and moving as stuff, the bullets are flying and it's like,
well, that's always the joke, it's like a boxing
match.
match. You have a plan until you get punched.
Exactly.
And then you're surviving.
Always.
That's harvest really. It's like, harvest comes at you in a different way every time.
Well, and maybe the plan is having the appropriate mentor. So that when you get in the game, you're ready to go. Because that's what I do think Green Bay did so well is they allowed quarterbacks time to develop under a mentor. So you have that time to develop, you end up making these beautiful wines we have next to us. So we actually featured the Blueline Cabernet Sauvignon on one of our episodes. Was it the Derby episode?
It might have been, yes.
But
I do want to ask one question, and then dive into these wines. But kind of why, as a free agent, if you will, to cross-reference, what made you choose Hourglass? Whenever
I think Jeff Smith, the properties. I've been blessed. I've mostly worked with family-owned businesses.
Oh, nice.
And I think that's a big thing to me because it's a 1 degree of separation because there are a lot of decisions. It is a capital
You don't
intensive
want all
business.
the
Now, I do have one client, of course, the Toke Wine Vineyard Company, that is Constellation, but they're really good about leaving the winemakers alone to craft great wines. And so I've been really blown away by that.
Nice.
By how good it is. They act like a family business there, but for the most part, I've only dealt with families.
Okay.
So Jeff sort of presented that to me. And Jeff and Carolyn are such easy people to work for.
That's great.
You come here, you see this cave, you see how, unfortunately, the house burned down in 2020, and so we had a whole other area that sort of was mesmerizing, had a great feel to it, the way the wind blew through the trees that we had here. And that sold me on it. Handmade, I can do what I want, handmade. That really is why Hourglass, we chose each other, to be honest with you. They chose me and I chose them too, because it was a great opportunity and the wines were great. Bob Foley had started a great legacy here and I could build upon that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I talk about this all the time, like on the podcast. I'm in radio now as well, and just like when I talk to kids and things like that, it's just like that opportunity presents itself, and like it has to be the right fit, right? Like there's probably a lot of great, there's a ton of great athletes that don't make it because they get on the wrong team or they're not in the right culture.
It's so interesting,
or things like that.
Talking to you about that. I mean, we're talking about quarterbacks now. To see somebody throw them to the wolves their first year.
Yeah.
And you've probably seen a lot of talented people in the NFL just get destroyed because it's just a pressure.
Just not ready.
Not ready. And
or somebody wants them to do something way opposite of what they're good at.
They start trying to change them. Yeah.
Well, and that's, I think, the wine business, I'm blessed working with really good number two. I say number two, but they're in 1As. Adrian Halpin here at Hourglass is just as talented as I am, and we work together. It's
awesome.
Collaborative. Other wineries at Dante, two of my old assistants, one's running Phelps right now, Ryan Knopf. I always say his name, he's going to get mad. And then Jesse Fox, who's now the winemaker at Sequoia Grove, and they're super talented. It's just a matter of working them together and maybe just sort of helping them get the last little bit.
For sure.
And then have them step into something wonderful.
And then it's like, how are you going to uniquely be your own person, right? And like your own winemaker, because that's the ultimate thing. Is like you can take advice, you can take all the info, but to make it really like great, you have to take it on and it has to be yours. Like I say that all the time as well. Is just I was coachable, but I was like, whatever coaching I got, if I didn't like own it and like put myself, because I'm the one going out there and doing it, right? Just like you with making wines, like you have to own it and like say, I'm going to put myself on the line. I'm going to do this. So if it's not truly mine and I'm trying to do it for someone else, like you're going to fall on your face.
That's a really funny comment, because I was mentoring a young winemaker and I said that to him. I said, hey, if you're going to go down on your own terms. Do the best you possibly.
Don't do it because you're trying to do it like someone else.
If you're listening, because there's a lot of times in the business that really happens. I call it, you make, say, camel wines. You make a wine designed by committee.
Yeah.
I have an opinion. The sales guy has a opinion. The owner. Now, don't get me wrong. Working with Jeff Smith, we see eye to eye on wine quality. We drink the same wines and all those different things. We're actually a 4-operated winery. We're working today.
I love it. Hey, so we got the wine noises. I love it.
24s right now.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, I think that ultimately, as a winemaker or as a head coach or as a football player, granted you take coaching, but in the end, you have to go out and perform and do it. And it's on you, nobody else.
For sure.
Reality, and then, so I think to tell people when I mentor them, you have to just take it on yourself to craft the best wines possible.
Yeah.
But it's also a matter of, I didn't leave Ducker until I thought I was ready to be able to be a winemaker.
Yeah.
They let me be, I moved from cellar worker to assistant winemaker. I made their Paradox wines for them.
Okay.
But yet I always had a net underneath me that I can make decisions, but I know I could go to Tom or Dan or Alex and ask them, hey guys, what do you think? They're like, don't do that. So, don't do that. And I always tell my guys now, I can fix any problem.
Yeah.
So, because I've been doing it long enough, Bob Levy at Harlan used to say, it's the winemakers with the biggest quivers. Like probably for you, the biggest offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, or head coach was seen everything. Like Bill Belichick, he's seen everything.
For sure.
So his quiver is so big, he can go, okay, I want to pull this arrow out.
Here's the play,
Yeah, and so I think that for that, looking at that idea, the only thing I can't fix is if you put wine down the drain. So I always jokingly tell people, interns when they come, because it is an intern business too. So you probably have that as well in coaching, where we get a lot of interns from UC Davis or Cornell or Fresno State, and we're teaching them. I always tell them the only fireable offense is if you put wine down the drain. I can't fix that.
I can't fix it.
So we jokingly say that, and there are mistakes do happen, but for the most part, not very often.
I love that.
So,
that's awesome.
Well, and that's fun for me because I'm neither winemaker nor a professional athlete. But it helps a lot in the scheme of a day for me, when you're making dinner, I'm making dinner and trying to figure out what we're going to serve with it, having that filter that kind of narrows it down to knowing what you're looking for. And I think that exercise is really beneficial in my daily life, just taking a minute, figuring out what I'm looking for, and then that small victory of getting it, of knowing the vineyard, the wine that I like, and having this moment of we're winning right now. And I think that's what maybe people don't think they're wine people, but maybe they just haven't found the winemaker, the viewpoint, the vantage point, the story that they resonate with yet.
Absolutely.
And that's why it's so great. I love how collaborative, from what we've seen as outsiders who kind of get to come into the caves occasionally, Napa feels very collaborative.
We're all 1 degree of separation. I mean, all of us know one person who's worked with one person. And especially the longer you're here, the more it just happens that way. But go back to what you were saying. Yeah, the best feeling in the world is when you're cooking at night and you in the morning, 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, and I want to do this tonight. And then at the end, everybody's loving it, and but it's more for yourself. Like I achieved this.
Right.
And that's a great feeling, especially when you're cooking at home. The simple things in life, where I got a bike ride in today, or I got exercising today.
Yeah.
I saw myself doing this, and I get to do it.
That's right.
Yes.
Because so many things can take you away from that path.
Exactly, and it's. I mentioned to Brian, we met at the Love One event last year out in Nashville, and he's just done such a great job of staying in touch. But something that there were kind of 2 routes that led me towards wine. 3. I love wine.
Yeah,
I always liked
enough.
it. I waitressed in college and was at a place where they gave us some wine education. So you kind of understood why you liked it. But then after our first child, I struggled with postpartum, and I didn't realize what that was, and had a doctor who was like, look, you can take this pill each day, or you can have a glass of wine with dinner. I think that would really ease
Distress.
and it really was. It became, and Mason
Need something to slow down.
joined. I don't relax well, and Mason joined me in that, and it became this supportive thing. But then I ended up having cancer, and my oncologist was like, it really is a good idea for you to have a glass of wine. I'm like, well, good news is I'm already doing that.
Yeah.
But it's such a basic part of living. You have to eat and drink. But just because it's basic or necessary doesn't mean it can't be exceptional, or a winning moment in your life, or a connecting moment.
For us, Kohler isn't just a brand, it's a part of our story. My dad was an exclusive Kohler dealer, so I grew up knowing their commitment to quality and design.
And for me, I helped open Lodge Kohler in Green Bay, and we've celebrated some of our best memories there, like my 40th birthday at Black Wolf Run.
Kohler, Wisconsin and Kohler properties have always been our favorite places to relax, connect, and of course, enjoy great wine together.
So it feels full circle that Kohler Company, boldly innovating for over 150 years, is now part of Crosby's crew, bringing extraordinary moments to everyday life. Cheers to that.
I'd love to know more about why people should care about this Blueline estate, and what kind of the stories that you're telling in
Do we
these
want to start
wines.
introducing the wines?
Yeah.
So 2020, we have 2 wines in front of us right now. We're going to try the whole portfolio today, or a good chunk of the portfolio.
I'm already warmed up. I took it down.
25 Sauvignon Blanc, Napa Valley Sauvignon Blanc, and then we have the 23 Blueline Merlot. So Sauvignon Blanc's kind of in my DNA from my Duckhorn years, and then of course I started the Cade Sauvignon Blanc program, the Senegal Sauvignon Blanc program. And so I love Sauvignon Blanc. I think it's the match for Napa. Especially up Valley. I think Chardonnay up Valley, there's very few reference point wines I would tell you to go try. I know 2 in my mind that I would, because it's a warmer spot. The acidity tends to respire. I don't want to I always say people don't want to know how sausage is made. They just want to eat it. I think wine, sometimes we can get pretty monotonous about talking that way, and I think a lot of people are turned off by that. But the reality is Sauvignon Blanc grows really well in Napa. It goes side by side with Cabernet.
Yeah.
So
sometimes
Merlot.
people just want to be like, we grow this here because it's great, and like
I could tell you a million
You
different
should
reasons
drink it,
why,
it's
and
amazing.
you'd be asleep.
Yeah.
Both of you'd be asleep by the end of the discussion.
Molly's not. Molly
So-
is like, she wants to nerd out and get into the weeds.
But
and
I like knowing that Napa, Sauvignon Blanc, Cabernet.
I like it.
Yeah, there's some good. I'm not going to dismiss Chardonnay too, because some people make some wonderful wonderful Chardonnays. But I think Sauvignon Blanc really, to me, is the go-to Napa wine.
All right.
And for your watchers out there, it's So if you like Sancerre,
Yes.
it's Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah.
People don't seem to know that. I mean, I find it really shocking when people.
Right.
I've been in restaurants where someone asks for Sancerre and someone then recommends Sauvignon Blanc. Well, I don't drink Sauvignon
I don't
Blanc.
drink so.
And then the poor bartender or the som's like, I don't know how to take this
I don't
because
know
and I don't want to
what to do
offend
here.
this person because it's about to go real.
Well, luckily we
real
had an
south.
episode with Holly and Keith on, on
So
the
those-
Sancerre and our, like, didn't we did Sancerre, we did White Burgundy, and we like kind of jumped around to all the different
no.
correlations between.
Yeah.
It was Sancerre and it was fun. It was great.
We like to give
wanna
that
connect the
information of
dots.
like, yes,
Yeah.
if you're drinking Sauvignon Blanc, you can also drink Sancerre.
Yeah.
and
Give
vice
it a
versa.
try.
Like, it's-
Yeah, exactly. Especially our style, we don't use a lot of new wood, which sometimes Sauvignon Blanc in Napa Valley has. About 10% new wood, but some of it's stainless steel fermented, some of it's stainless steel drum fermented. We tend to lean toward the crisper side of it. I want more sort of cut grass, bell pepper, maybe spearmint than
Oh my
red
gosh.
figs.
Just got the spearmint.
Figs. I don't want figs. I don't want real warm apples. That's more Chardonnay to me. I want a little more crispiness. So
I like that.
I always say, I love white. White Bordeaux is also Sauvignon Blanc, but I want to do white Bordeaux or New Zealand with a California sensibility.
I like
it's
it.
warmer here.
Yeah.
So, and white Hourglass. Well, I think white. This is not just to Hourglass. It's to any family-owned business. We're still a family-owned business, just like in Europe. When you go to Europe, it's small domains or states. We're a small family-owned business that pride ourselves on high quality. I mean, everybody does. That's what differentiates ourselves is we really are just who we are. We don't try to be anything else that we're not. We believe in the why, not the what. So why we do things. I've been doing it for 35 years. Everybody seems to be really passionate here. Jeff, it starts at the top with Jeff and Carolyn, but especially Jeff. He's super passionate. He is who he is. He's not trying to lie to anybody. And that's really what sold me on to going to work for him. So I think if you're a customer, you will buy into that too. And we all kind of take that ethos here. Just we come in, we show up, we make the best wines possible. It's a family-run business. It really, truly is. And it's, his kids are involved now. And so we all take great passion in this. And I think that's really what it is. If you love wine or come to try, our wines, we have everything from an entry-level red blend to, $250 bottle of red wine. But, it's expensive to make wine in California, unfortunately, especially in Napa Valley. Our vineyard workers all make livable wages. We're organically farmed here. All that incrementally costs more and more.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Yeah.
And what's the story with Blueline?
So Blueline is, you asked me why I went to work with Jeff, because this is the property. This property really has a great energy to it. So it was an original hunting ranch.
Okay.
So
Now you're speaking his language.
yeah, it was a deer hunting ranch. They get up in the canyon above us. As you look up, they drive the deer into the open fields and they go around. And then our little house that unfortunately burned down was a hunting lodge.
Oh, nice.
Like a little lodge. There's 4 bedrooms in there, all little nooks and crannies, and then it became a orchard. It was an apricot, I think, an apricot and a peach orchard, or a nectarine. No, peach and apricots. And then after that, the first vineyard was planted. Jeff bought the property in 2006. It's called Blueline because the 2 streams that frame it are called Blueline streams in California.
Okay.
They flow in the winter and they're dry in the summer.
Oh, wow.
And so people don't understand that, California can be a very, very drastic place. It's a thing of changes.
Yeah.
Where we can go from 0 to 100 in flooding in 2 days. It depends on the rain hits. And it's very hard when people see dry creeks like that. These creeks overflow. I mean, we can't get into our winery some mornings when it's been flooding.
Whenever it's flooding.
Yeah, when it's flooding, because there's so much rain falling. And so those Blueline streams are very important. They have fish runs and so forth.
Nice.
So that's why Jeff took the name Blueline, because we're framed by 2. In the middle of the vineyard is all cobble. We call it affectionately our rock garden, because we just farm rocks in there all day long. Every year we got a whole pile of rocks.
Just pile of rocks.
They just come up every year. And so very sparse soils, but a very small crop, a very intense crop. So
Nice.
very intense flavors.
Nice.
So yeah.
All right, Molly, where are we headed? We want to talk about this Merlot?
Yeah.
All right.
Sure do.
So Merlot is
That was
estate driven. So Sauvignon Blanc, we do grow Sauvignon Blanc, but we also do purchase some fruit. Now we're going into all the wines that are grown on our property. So Blueline Merlot, the block is, in this vintage would have been 30 years old. So it's an old vine block of Merlot. And this area is very special for Merlot. Across the street is Three Palms. So Duckhorn's known for that. And Merlot here tends to have an orange rind. What's it called?
I smell coffee.
And there's coffee, there's new oak. We're about 70% new wood on this wine. So all French oak here. A good dollop of Cabernet, a good dollop of a little bit of Franc in there,
like
and
that.
a little bit of Petit Verdot. So
Well, so just a side note, Duckhorn was the first wine club I ever joined.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, really, that's
that?
awesome.
That was a
2000
long time ago.
That was probably 2008-ish.
Yeah.
Like right when we got married. Yeah. I came up with my financial advisor. We played a little golf and popped around. And I just loved the house and like the feel.
Yeah, I was there when
and
they
it
built
was
that
like-
house. Dan loved that house.
That was so cool.
They were, the new company was talking about tearing it down, but they're gonna keep it up and just fix it, which I'm really happy.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, the house
It was like a
super
duck
cute.
blind.
It
It
was.
was
Oh
like-
yeah,
it felt
Dan
like
loved
it.
it. I mean, his name was Dan Duckhorn, and he hunted ducks. I mean, we ate a lot of duck with him.
That's
so
right.
He had a beautiful. We're speaking to duck hunters now out there. I hope you have some fun.
Oh, for sure.
He was up in the Butte Sink up in
Okay.
Calusa, and he had a great club.
Oh,
so
gosh,
he shot a lot of ducks.
I love
so.
that. Yeah, shooting shotguns is probably one of my favorite things.
Yeah,
I
I've
love.
never been a big animal guy. I have a big dog, so
Okay.
I shot a big boar once, and as we skinned it and all that stuff, it kind of looked like my dog. I'm like, can't do this.
Can't do it anymore.
So I'm
I
a
know.
shotgun guy. I'm upland
Go
game,
shoot birds,
quail, dove, duck,
Yeah.
and pheasant.
Awesome.
So the same thing. So
love
I love it.
Could we have duck with, like, what would we?
This
eat
would
with
definitely
wine?
be a duck wine. This is really spicy. 23
I
vintages.
really wish I had some now.
Yeah,
Like now I'm
exactly.
like thinking,
know.
I'm thinking on it. Duck. So what else? What's like a weeknight dinner?
It depends, it's been interesting. I've been with my girlfriend now for 3 years, and she doesn't eat red meat, but she
Okay.
eats chicken and fish. So we eat a lot of chicken and fish. So this would be, but she's really good. I mean, her sons eat meat, so we'll cook sometimes
Yeah.
chicken for her and then chicken thighs for her. But I love chicken thighs, man. I'm
yeah.
addicted to chicken thighs. I don't know,
That
I'll
would
bone it
taste
myself.
great with this.
Yeah, maybe teriyaki chicken thighs with this. So.
Actually, the Packers nutritionist they would give us cooking classes.
That's
as
awesome.
part of, he would say like, hey, this is how you can batch.
Well, they didn't dry out
prepare,
as much.
Yeah.
proteins and he wanted guys to be really successful at home. Talk about a great mentor.
That's
And
awesome.
so his favorite thing was, and he changed the
Well,
way we keep our
we
kitchen.
also went through like 1,000 pounds or something, like crazy of chicken a week. So he's just putting chicken thighs out on baking sheets. And he's like,
He's
if
like,
I
come on,
had to
guys,
do grilled
salt,
chicken
pepper,
like
olive
this,
oil,
like,
you can
Yeah.
do this. And he preferred the thighs over chicken breast.
just they didn't dry out.
Well, it's not as much. I think it's a little less protein, but there's more flavor.
Yeah,
It's just more flavor.
for
It's just
sure.
dark meat. I
A
mean,
little easier to cook too, maybe
Yeah.
like more uniform, thickness
yeah,
or whatever. But
I love them. So I think that was there. But
I love
definitely,
that for this.
duck was a great call. It's spicy. 23 is such a good vintage too. It's a cooler vintage, but yet we had wonderful density. This ranch is a ranch that thrives, and it's warmer up north Napa Valley. So
Okay.
this ranch is actually a cooler vintage like 23. This ranch is perfect because it
Okay.
ripens perfectly. And I think you really see it in
Well,
the
I mean,
23
this
wine.
is,
So.
it's hard to move on from.
seriously, this has to be
And
one of
again,
the best Merlots I've ever had.
we only craft off the property of all the wines. It's a 20-acre property, so we craft about 3,000 cases of wine total off this property.
wow.
Then 700 cases off our Hourglass Estate, which is where Jeff grew up, and we'll get to that wine at the end.
Okay,
but,
great.
So we don't make a lot of estate red wines. Now, with Sauvignon Blanc and the HG3, our entry model, we make a little more of those. So.
Okay.
What
nice.
do you mean he grew up on the Hourglass?
So Jeff grew up on the Hourglass Estate. So Hourglass, the name Hourglass comes from his family's ranch on Lodi Lane. And if you look at the way Napa Valley is formed, Lodi Lane, which is where Duckhorn is, strangely enough, it's the shortest crossroad.
Okay.
But it goes wide to narrow to wide again.
Oh, an hourglass.
So Lodi is actually the pinch point of
Oh,
the
wow.
Hourglass, and Hourglass's vineyards on that pinch point, hence the Hourglass.
That's
name.
so great.
Anyways, it's very hard to find names in this business. He got found a name for almost free.
That was an easy one, right?
And if anybody, I tell anybody, go try to trademark a name and see how quickly you can.
gosh.
It's impossible.
I bet now in this day and age.
Yeah, so-
All right, well, where do we want to go to next? Are we gonna?
Let's go to, so we're going to the Cabernet Franc. So we also have Franc grown on the property, which is the sister grape. It grows in the Loire Valley and in Bordeaux. So this is the 24 vintage. This is one of the wines, Cabernet Franc for us has always sort of been a cult following. I hate that word 'cause it's so overused these days. But the reality is
Goats,
it's always
cult
it's always the first wine to go, first wine that we were sell out on.
Well, way to get us some clickbait, Tony.
Yeah,
Thank
exactly.
you.
It's the goat. It's got a cult following.
I do want to touch briefly, though. You talked about maybe having ADHD tendencies or whatever,
Sure.
and I really resonate with that. But that's why I like wine, because when I pick it up, I'm thinking how it smells, how it looks, how it tastes, the story behind it, where is it, what am I going to pair it with? And And I just don't think we should be talking about that sort of thought process in anything other than like a superpower. You know, I don't.
Well, I think it is. I mean, I think I think it's a survival technique. It's a survival technique, especially. So, for me, I found a business that actually you can do it. I mean, I can go run. So yeah, Cabernet Franc. We have this block of Franc and the Merlot were planted at the same time, so they're 30 years old. Always a little spicier.
Yeah, but then like
it
the
tends.
finish is just so interesting. It's
so
like
the-
it doesn't like it just kind of go like it just kind of.
Well, you're looking at two different vintages. So 24 was cool until I say autumnal equinox, which is September 22nd, 23rd, 24th. That tends to be the window when we know we're going to start harvesting.
Okay.
It's when the sun starts falling. Right now we're at the summer equinox.
Yeah, we're right there.
Yeah, so longest day of the year is yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah. So
Sunday.
and then the harvest kind of depend if it's a cooler vintage, what happens after that?
Yeah.
Is it going to be warm? Or is it going to be cold?
Yeah.
23 we were cool, 24 we were warm, and I think you see that in this wine.
Yeah.
A little more ripeness, a little more warmth in the mouth, a little more
a
roundness.
little more dry on the
Yeah.
finish there, yeah. Which this is like my jam. Like this is like what I love to drink is where I get that spice, a little, the fruit in the front, but then it's like it just dry in the.
It is. Oh, it's dry as the bone, and that's something that we talk about too. Is that this day and age there are wines with sugar out there. None of these wines we don't add sugar to these wines. These are all bone dry.
Yeah.
And I know people are always concerned about that now with health and well-being.
For sure.
There's no sugar. I mean, when you taste sweetness in our wines, it's how Adrian and I ripen the tannins.
Exactly.
We polish them when Keith's wines. Keith's wines. I know the wines are super plush and rich and lush. I love his wines and. We're no sugar in those wines. They're all
Just
dry.
dry.
You're just tasting, we call it perceived sweetness, not sweetness.
Exactly.
Your wines taste sweet and round because that's how we polish them and how we ferment them.
It's like an impression of sweetness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, your mouth gets tricked because the way the tannins are crafted, it feels the weight, but it's not tannic. So your mind automatically thinks it's sugar.
Because it's pleasing.
It's pleasing. Yeah, it's
like
round.
that.
It's lush.
Yeah.
And so you feel that weight and it automatically thinks it's sweet. But it's not sweet. It's bone dry. So.
I love that, like
what are
where
we
you're
eating with
processing
this?
through the.
I think because they're kissing cousins, the Cab Franc and Merlot. I think you could still stay in that in that realm. I think that
fowl.
Yeah, fowl. I think duck would be great.
Yeah.
Going back to duck.
I'd probably go.
We're gonna need a recommendation of where we can go get some duck for
We
lunch.
had some lamb chops last
I'm not
night.
really
so-
Lamb chop.
Zuzu, I
Lamb
feel
would be
like-
good with here with some Moroccan
I'm thinking
spice.
That's my red meat
We had
choice.
it was Moroccan spice, like barbecue. I'm like, this would.
I would go that in a
perfect.
second.
Yeah.
100%. That'd be perfect.
Golly, I almost do those smell a little bit of.
Yep.
Ooh.
Bingo.
Pork chop would be.
I
so-
get like a little finish of like either like some grass or hay that I'm
No,
loving.
that's Cabernet Franc often has herbal flavors. So you're absolutely right. I get a little more like not a bell pepper, but like a Anaheim chili.
Has Cab Franc been something that like you've like always has been popular and gone, or has it become like
It's
like you're saying a
always-
cult following
it's
where
the
it's like,
siren's call. Everybody is waiting for it to be the next big thing.
Yeah.
And I think now finally it's capturing some really good notoriety. I think Psalms want it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be.
because it's always been kind of like it's been a blended, like it's
Yeah.
been part of like the blending
It's
process.
been there.
Like
It's
Duck
almost
did.
like you're talking about Sancerre and Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah.
Like it's been there all along.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
just didn't necessarily know that was the tool in the tool belt that was being chosen.
Yeah,
and
no,
now it's
yeah.
just gets to be the star.
Loire Valley red wines is Cabernet Franc. So,
It's like when the backup quarterback gets their shot, right? And then
Yeah,
they
well,
become
it's funny. I mean,
Steve
the wines
Young.
on their own are delicious. Maybe because we were trying to craft them like Cabernet too much, and maybe we were, making that mistake where now we're crafting them differently. We don't use as much new oak on this wine as we do as our Cabernets.
Oh,
So this is about 2/3 new oak versus maybe 80 to 100 on our Cabernets.
Nice.
And so maybe that pullback and how we blend, we do a little less Cabernet in there than we normally used to.
Yeah.
Maybe is why the wine is taken so
love it.
seriously. So.
What am I smelling that's more on like that I don't want to say floral, but like less what is
No florals. No, everything you're saying is you're describing Cabernet Franc. It's rose petal. I mean, you can
That's it.
often describe Cabernet Franc with rose petal or violets.
It almost reminds me of one of my favorite herbal teas when I take the
Yeah.
pouch out and like that.
Well, I often say Darjeeling tea
hibiscus.
hibiscus tea or Darjeeling tea, gunpowder tea. It's funny you should say. I could often get that qualities as well in Franc. So
I love it.
You do like we all need to drink to survive. And I choose mostly herbal teas and wine. That's how.
Yep.
That's
I'm
how
more
I live.
Water, and wine.
All right, well, we'll keep you moving. I know you're a busy man.
No. We're having fun here. Let's do this.
Let's dive into the next.
I just want Holly to like this.
That's good. I can tell you're trying to impress your friends and make sure that they're not disappointed.
We're a little
with you.
nervous that we want Holly to be happy with what we asked
I know,
of
exactly.
you too. Basically,
No.
Holly's
She
the
gave
one
us
running the
notes.
show back there.
So, no, just giving
They're
her a hard
so
time.
fun.
So now we're on to the Blueline Cabernet. So
This is the one we had on our Derby episode, and I was just like,
Oh yeah.
Mason, I
What
love
year
you,
is this?
but I
this is
also love
23.
this
So
wine.
you've seen all 23s except for the Franc. So
Oh my gosh, this is such a
it's
winner.
a very special property, and that, I really when I came to work for Jeff, this is the wine I thought I could really impart the most on to get it better and better and better.
Okay.
It was already doing well, but
you're like,
the
all right.
Hourglass Estate Cabernet was already a winner. I mean, but I really thought I could put what I've learned into this wine and the Blueline wines and make
You
it
were the
excellent.
quarterback coach here. Were you
Yeah,
just
I was the
Come
quarterback
on,
coach.
buddy, let's put this in the end zone.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy smokes. It's just, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the other ones
Texture
too,
well.
but if I had to choose one
Well, I don't know.
to have forever, it
It's
might
so
be.
interesting
This
because
is always crushed rocks. It's, because a lot of Cabernet in Napa
Exactly.
can be a little more syrupy and ripe. We always have a minerality to this wine
like
from
that.
the rocks. Jeff always feels the wines like have orange peel, and he always has
Yes.
a little more nervous energy because of the rock. There's a ton of rock. And
just because all the rock.
below
like
us
that
is
nervous
hydrothermal.
energy. I picture that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man.
a lot of hydrothermal. All the rock you see when you come in and all the rock walls are all from the property. So I wasn't hauled in. I was dug up.
Because you can't take stuff off the property, right? Like it's kind of one of those. Like if it comes off your property, it's got to kind of stay in
Yeah.
place here. And
Well,
not
that's
go-
it. That's why you call it.
So you can
if
use
you call
it.
it estate. You have to grow it, make it on site, and bottle it. You
Yeah.
call it estate. It's actually the most powerful term. So when we say Blueline Estate, it was grown here.
Just right here.
Tractor drops the fruit off at 5 a.m. 2 bins at a time. We're crushing it by 6 a.m. Probably in tank by 8.
All right. What's your favorite part of the process?
Harvest.
Harvest.
It's addictive.
Yeah.
Everybody's so funny.
It's that Super Bowl, right? That's like
have you guys
juice.
watched The Bear?
I've watched a part of it. I
Yeah.
watched the beginning.
The Bear, some people cannot handle the chaotic energy of it, and for me, it just all slows down, and I get it.
I love
It's
it.
harvest because it just slows down, and I think maybe it is the ADHD of just understanding it.
It's
There's,
superpower.
there's
Yeah, looking
enough
at
going
that.
on that it kind of finally like
Triggers you.
resonates with the.
But
movement.
it's so funny because I think Keith would tell you the same thing, or any winemaker can tell you. It's just all bets are off. You don't know what's going to happen. You think you do, and like I said, until it happens, then you're reacting.
Yeah.
And it just becomes second nature how you're doing. We have interns. The one intern you think is going to crash is just amazing.
Steps
and
up,
the one
yeah.
big studly intern who's worked
Just
19 harvests just disappears. In 2020,
melts down.
I'll tell you a funny story. In 2020, I was working for Amici Winery. They make the wines up there, and there are 2 interns. There was 3 interns there. There was 2 young girls that were just first harvest there, were just wanted a different career.
Okay.
And one was this guy who'd worked 5 harvests. So the fires hit. When we go up to the winery in the morning, they were fine, but he disappeared overnight. Like the fires scared him. He left.
Just took off.
2 girls were like, "What are we gonna do today?" And it's just
They
were
just stepped up.
So you never would have thought. You think that this guy who's bragging about how all the harvesting works, that he's going to see everything. You just never know who steps up. It's probably like for you a little bit like in
Yeah.
football, where the 7th round draft pick all of a sudden is starting on the defensive end by the end of the
Exactly.
year. You're like, how did that wait?
You could always see it like in the off season, like
Yeah.
similar to that, where it's like, okay, this guy is different. Like,
Yeah.
And it's like they might not have been the touted, the highly touted guy or a tryout player, a free
Yeah.
agent that they signed, an undrafted free agent. It's like this guy's got a real shot, and because you see some of these 3rd, 4th, 5th rounders that maybe are just like, oh, I made it, I've done that. It's
Yeah.
like I'm gonna coast.
I guess I
and then
guess
somebody
I could
just
ask you a
goes
question.
up.
Mason. I guess it's the same thing. And I was talking about, you never know what happens when the pressure's on.
Yeah.
Did you ever see a practice player that was the world's best practice player that when he got into games just
Oh, yeah.
couldn't get
Yeah.
into the games?
Yeah, we talk about that all the time where, it's like the practice, world champion or the practice All-American, practice Pro Bowler. And there's some guys that just, they can't handle moving into that next step.
Do you
Or
think it's
being
all
the
in
guy.
in the
Being the
brain?
guy.
Being the guy.
Is it all emotional? It's all
I think a lot of it
psychological?
is, yeah. It's just like whenever you're free and there's not expectations of going out and like doing the thing in the game. Like you can go out there and ball out in practice. Like they're the guys that are hitting too hard in practice. They're running, like doing all the stuff, and then they get that shot, and it's hard. It's hard to take that next step.
For you, especially being a kicker, and the pressure's got to be.
I saw it too many times. I mean, I'd go kick. They'd bring young guys into Green Bay, and I'd be like, gosh, I'm 35 years old. This kid's 22, and it's like his leg is live, and he's just bombing kicks, doing all this stuff, and guys would, people would start noticing at practice, and I'm just like, settle down, everybody settle down, and then they'd kind of, everyone would start getting excited, and they'd get the little bit of a shot, and then it'd just fall apart, and you're like I don't want to be like I told you so, but it's kind of like some guys you can just tell are not going to be able to handle that next step. Yeah. And we call it like in baseball, it's like, you go AAA to the pros. Some guys they go AAA to like quadruple A. Like,
I know what you mean.
They just don't know how to step into that, where it's like they're going to kind of be in that position where they just can't get to be a professional. So I love that. And
pressure of it must be crazy.
The harvest and all that, like it's I just can't imagine what that's like just going in and like it's early,
we
just
only
full
get,
days.
if you do this in your career, for me, you'll only get 40 or 50 of them. And what really hurts like a year like 2020 where you just lose the whole vintage. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, that's, 3% of what I'm ever going to do is gone. And it's out of your hands. You can't do anything about it.
Gosh.
You're not in control of it. Mother Nature is. The reality is, that's the biggest thing to take away.
Yeah.
Mother Nature's always in control.
Right.
Once you learn that, control's an illusion.
Yeah.
Mother Nature's in control. You just have to roll with her.
This is a lot more like surfing. Like you're figuring out how to stay on the wave.
100%, because Mother Nature's strengths, and again, the longer you've done it, the more things you've seen. But there's always things. I always tell my guys, if I do something that's out of character, I'll let you know why. But every once in a while, there's going to be hey, I don't know, but let's just go try it. It's going to be a really, really good idea or a really, really bad idea.
Because this whole process, this is just like we talked about in the off season. Like you're kind of in that off season, growing, doing all the stuff. You're bottling some things. You're kind of building up towards harvest, and then it's like when harvest comes, you might have an idea of what you think the fruit's going to be like. You think everything's how it's going to go, and something changes.
Well, it's like 2020, then all of a sudden we had dry lightning. And then we had smoke. I mean, so you didn't know it was coming, but how do you react to it? I always tell my guys too, you see young guys are all fired up. They want to be there every second of the day. I'm like, take your time, go home, get some rest, because the back end of harvest is going to hurt. And by the end of harvest, I've seen some of these younger guys coming up, cellar masters. They're just exhausted. We haven't done anything
Burnt
yet.
out.
We haven't done anything
yet. I mean, the reds are, because whites are pretty easy. You press them, you barrel ferment them, or you tank ferment them, and then you're done. Okay. Reds are hard because you're bringing them in. They're in your hair for 15 or 20 days, and it's harrowing because they're fermenting, they're sticking, they're working. You're inoculating them. You're pumping them over every day, 3 times a day, 2 to 3 times a day. So it's a lot of hands-on. And you have to be here every day. You don't get to take, wine doesn't take Sundays off,
right.
during harvest. That's people don't understand. Like, well, why you work Sundays? Well, because you have to.
One of the best things about this podcast is how it connects our love of wine with the people and companies who share that passion.
Like Perlick Refrigeration. We first crossed paths through Mason's work with Sartori Cheese and Make-A-Wish, where Mason met Jeff Schwager, who's now on Perlick's board and an investor in one of our favorite Napa wineries, Ovid.
Perlick has been setting the standard for wine storage for over a century, and their wine refrigeration is second to none, because great wine deserves perfect care.
We're proud to have Perlick as part of Crosby's crew, keeping our wine at the perfect temp, from the first pour to the last drop.
That's what we're talking about with like a wine athlete too, is that anybody can burn themselves out. Like burning yourself out isn't actually like impressive, right? Like I think the norms are changing now when we talk about what it looks like. I think maybe 10, 15 years ago, everybody to be seen as like a hustler, like you should be hustling, like you should be guarding your desk, you should be burning out. Like if you're not burning out, you're not.
Find something that you're passionate about.
Well, and that's when I left.
Well, the restraint. Like restraint is that other like kind of superpower, like knowing how to pace yourself or being able to live up to being the top dog and knowing that like you can be the top dog without
you don't
burning
have to kill
out
yourself and everyone around you.
You know the moment where you're going to have a half a tank of gas left.
Absolutely.
And it's not the beginning of your white harvest, because Mason talks about that a lot. Like one of the harder parts in his career was handling success.
Yeah.
And so usually he'd have like these super successful campaigns, and then if he tried to carry that success like exactly forward, he found challenging seasons. So then how are you doing that? I mean, Hourglass, people know, like that's a trusted brand for excellence. So how do you know, obviously you're mentoring your team into avoiding burnout, but how do you mentor them to sustain success without being either burdened by it or controlled by it or limited by it?
I think it's a great
Harvest
question.
on harvest.
First, it's funny you were saying about that. I remember when I left Plumpjack, I had 8 weeks of vacation saved up.
Okay.
They paid me out. But I burned myself out. I mean, because I did all these things, and now all my guys take their vacation. We try to get them out of here early.
Yeah.
And I remember the old days, people would miss a day, and you'd all be talking shit. You're like, that guy's like, what a weakling! I can't believe he can do it. Now we're like, yeah.
Does he even like
Are
wine?
you sick? Go home.
Yeah.
Exactly. He doesn't get it.
Yeah, it was like the burden of like you had to suffer through
Yeah,
it.
exactly. No, it's like you're saying the old days, that was cool. It was, now what's
Badge
the
of honor.
It's the kitchen culture, it's everywhere, and we're very similar to a restaurant. But now, I think we have a lot of fun. I mean, we really do. That's one thing about working for small wineries. We do a lot of team barbecues.
I love that.
Especially in the cellar. Like,
Yeah.
look, I have had a level of success, so I bring a lot of fun wines for the younger people that maybe they want to try, but they can't afford. So I buy them
Nice.
for them and let them try.
That's great.
Give back, because that's what Dan Duckhorn and Tom Rinaldi did to us.
That's awesome.
I keep going back to Duckhorn, what a great company we're, but they bought lunch for us every day during harvest. And they did that.
the little things.
Every Fridays they bring in GOTS. Well, back then it was Taylor's Refresher.
Okay.
They have Taylor's Refresher come in for us on Fridays.
That's awesome.
Dan Duckhorn, we had, he would match you 10% for retirement and give you 5% profit sharing.
Jeez.
Wow.
So, there were so many good things he did, and that I learned from him that you have to give back. No one wants to see the guy who's successful just drive away, drive here, and do different things.
Yeah.
So it's going like this week we're doing a barbecue. You bring in Flannery steaks, and we're doing Chardonnay-a-thon. So
Nice.
this week we're taste a bunch of Chardonnays because we make
Oh,
great
wait a
Maison
minute.
Chardonnay.
That sounds
So, but I think it's just
Epic.
those guys, and just enjoy it for the moment, but keep moving forward.
But you want to build that legacy
it for
too,
the
where
moment,
you're
but keep
saying
moving forward.
anyone that leaves here and goes somewhere else, like they're going to keep growing that and building like what you want Napa Valley in this area to be, right? Because you introduce them to a wine they probably can't, afford or buy right now. Like at this moment, they're gonna be like, all right, I want to.
But these are reference point wines, so you're trying reference point wines. So in your mind, like, okay, that's what it is. Oh,
That's
I
what
get
it
what we're
should
trying
be,
to achieve. And
You gotta understand.
I interviewed a guy named Tony Soder for a job, and he was a very famous consultant in the 90s. Spotswood, Arajo, Villader, Isley, Arajo Isley. He had a Tude winery. That was his winery. He ended up selling it. But he said, hey, look, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. Go work 19 harvests. Go all around the world.
Yeah.
Now, look, my parents were, they did well for themselves, but I couldn't afford to be on scholarship,
Right.
And so, but he did say something that was very important, you're going to run into a lot of people in this business. And it's probably like for more coaching, this is like a coaching thing. You're going to run into people that you don't like their styles, just because you don't know until you work for them. But find something that they do that you really can learn from, and then when you leave, take that with you.
Yeah.
Everything else they did that you didn't like, drop. But take that one kernel of something that you liked, and then go to the next stop. Then somebody you find it like, I want to do everything like this person does. I'm sort of addicted to how these guys are doing stuff. I think that's what we try to teach here too. I tell all my guys, hey, look, if you don't like what I do, I get it. But I'm the guy doing this. And I always tell people,
See if you can find at least one thing.
yeah, it's always scary too, because it is you in the end. Because that's why I tell people that, and really as a leader, you tell people that I'll take the arrows if something bad happens, even if you did it, I'll still take the blame for it. But when we win, we win as a team.
Yeah.
And it's just a leadership thing. It's,
sure.
and that's what I tell all the guys. Okay, I'll take a fall for you. It's fine, but just let's be open and honest with each other. I can't have a surprise where I can't front for you.
Yeah, exactly.
But I also know when we get the big scores or winery of the year or something like that, it's a team effort. We all did this, so all did this. So let's reward the team. So it's just what it is.
That was like kicking field goals.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like there were some bad snaps and some bad holds and
Some
all
bad
that,
blocks,
and some bad protection. But like to the media, it's like I owned it. If I didn't make the kick, I didn't do it. It's like it's on me. If I made it, then it's like I couldn't do it without everybody else.
Yeah.
And then in practice, and then the next day, then it's like, all right, let's fix this. Like, let's sort through
on
it,
film
right?
breakdown, you're like, there it is, right
Yeah,
there.
and it's like, and everyone has to have that ownership, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, but I'm not gonna throw you under the bus. Like that is what. Yeah, I love that. That's like the exact thing what leadership is, and I think so many people lose sight of that. It's like it's me. You know, it's like,
The
but
name on the back of the jersey or the wine bottle.
yeah,
I think
you
that's-
can't have it all ways.
If we're talking about leadership in life and stuff like that, I think that's the first thing is, what's it, is it Jocko Resnick? When he talks about supreme ownership. You know,
Yeah.
no matter what, you own it.
That's
you
right,
know,
yeah.
and even if you can find excuses, but you just own it. And that's why we have mistakes. I screwed up, my bad. It won't happen again.
Yeah.
Jeff will go, okay, not a problem.
Yeah.
It's funny when you own something, how quickly people back off. If you start making excuses,
Exactly.
that's when they get upset.
Even if it's just
Yes.
even if you just had a small piece of it.
Yeah,
it's
but
just
even
like
in
own your
raising
piece
kids,
and
you just
move on.
tell the kids, hey, look, you own this.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the hardest thing, because like, no. You know, you have kids, and it's like
Oh, yeah.
owning
It's a
something.
reaction.
They're dodging,
Owning something-
yeah.
No one wants to be embarrassed, and especially when you're young. But even these young winemakers, I mean, they're super talented. I mean, Adrian's going to run a great winery. He already helps me run this place. He's going to run it on his own, crafting great wines, or Dante up at Amici, you know, Jesse or Ryan. These guys are really talented people. Jeff, who ran Odette for years, was my assistant right at college, and he just made 3 100-point wines. I mean, the guy's super talented. It's just helping them get to where they need to go and giving them enough ability to runway. And it's like children, or it's like raising a family. But back to what you were saying about how you know, the wins in life is just being able to go home and just relax and enjoy it all. And that's the hardest part. That really
It
is.
is.
So-
It is for sure the hardest part. As was moving on from that
yeah.
Cabernet Sauvignon,
Well-
but I do think we have to move on.
Yeah,
because
Brian-
We have a few more questions for
We're
you.
we're gonna keep you all day
Brian's
if we don't.
flaking on us. So
You're free up.
So what we want to talk about now, I'm glad you referenced 100-point wines. I'd like to know from your winemaker perspective, if you had to choose, you know, between two doors, like behind door number 1 is you only make 100-point wines for the rest of your life, and behind door number 2 is you knew that everybody who worked for you was going to have kind of like your same dynastic arc to their careers.
Oh, it's number 2. I mean, again, the scores, anything, you make great wines, 100 points is catching lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a great award. I mean, everybody talks about it. It's more people now do
Yeah.
get it than they used to.
I think
mean,
it's, the competition
When I started,
piece,
I mean,
right?
it was Groth 85 was the wine at 100. And then you had Maya Dalla Valle.
Okay.
Maya Dalla Valle got 192.
And that was like it. You can like name
now
a
you
couple.
have a lot of people getting them, and there's so many great wines being produced.
Yeah.
There's so many new vineyards that are coming online. A lot of people are working with Andy's Beckshoffer's vineyards, which are really, really good.
Yeah.
But I'd rather just know that these people, that you led them to be able to run a winery efficiently and honestly, you know, above board, and they're making great wines.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I mean, you know, that was probably my favorite thing. You know, I know Antonio, when I was named, you know, winemaker of the year in 2020 in Venice, he referenced that like he's a good mentor, and that was more proud of me than anything else, because. You know, I've been working with Samra Morris. I have a client in Santa Barbara who is making wonderful wine. She's amazing, called Almorosa, and she just killed it, knocked it out of the park. I was really just brought on to sort of mentor her, not as a winemaker, more helping her with just how do you manage people. She's super talented, and so I was really proud of that. Because then he also referenced Ryan Noth over at Senegal, because he was at Senegal at the time. Now he's over at Phelps.
Wow.
And then Jesse. So yeah, I really think that made me happy.
That's cool.
That was
Love
really,
that.
Don't get me wrong, everybody loves accolades.
Sure.
I mean,
It's nice to have recognition, to know that what you thought you were doing is a shared experience for other people. But
and it really is, though. The 100-point score is everybody. It's not just me. It's the cellar team who decided to stay on a Sunday till 7 p.m. It's the guy who came in, you know, left his family, came in to work. You know, it's everybody. It's never one person. It's the sales team. It's the winery brand. It's not just one thing.
No doubt.
So, and we get a lot of credit, you know. But again, you do get a lot of the blame if the wines don't score well. It's you too. So it's like, you know, if you make the kick, it's you.
Exactly.
If you don't, it's you. So
Exactly.
what are we drinking? This is amazing.
this is this is the 36.
Well, there you go.
So this is Hourglass' first 100-point wine, and 36 is from Blueline. It used to be called 36, 24, 36. But because we wanted to cut it down to 36, the Hourglass figure, of course. And this is a selection of the best barrels off the estate. And the blend changes every year, so Adrian and I aren't limited by, it has to be Cabernet, it has to be this. We've made a red wine in the past. So yeah, this is red wine. This is actually red wine. So this is one of those years.
Petit Verdot. My old friend. Gosh, it tastes amazing.
And this is co-fermented. So we actually pick the Cabernet and the Petit Verdot and co-ferment them. We ferment them together. Yeah, this is 100% new wood in barrels for about 20 months.
It tastes like they're very friendly together.
They work well. Petit Verdot on its own, when you ferment it, you never want to use it. And I started co-fermenting, and I also co-ferment Cabernet and Cabernet Franc too. Not here, but I do it at other places, and it works. These co-fermentation, sometimes 1 + 1 = 3. Yeah. And so that's why we do it. So but if you have them as separate and you put them together, it's not the same wine as if you co-ferment.
Wow. That's fascinating.
And sometimes it might be even better, but most time I think this works really well for 36. So the backbone is always co-fermented, but it changes every year where we're tasting grapes, we're looking at stuff, and Adrian and I go, yeah, let's do this. So.
Can you think of anybody you played with, like maybe I'm thinking receiving corps, where it's like anytime you could get the two guys on the field at the same time, it was
interesting.
It was like markedly better, or like they were both solid, but when they were.
Obviously, like in my time,
Devontae and Jordy?
Yeah, Devontae, Jordy, and then you throw in a great tight end like when Jermichael Finley was there, or things like that. It's probably 49ers reference. You got Kittle and you had Deebo Samuel and like the Ayuk, and you had like that group where it's kind of the similar thing. You're just trying to piece together that operation that works the best, right? It is cool. I like thinking of you as like the coach for all of this. Like,
I think you become more and more that as you go. I mean, if you look at, I think one of the best winemakers now would be Michael Salacci over at Opus One. I mean, he's running such a big program. Yeah. But yet he's kind of like he's got all these young winemakers like Megan Zorbeck, who's the winemaker day to day there. And he's the director of winemaking, but and he's these young. He's like
general manager and coach.
People. Yeah, he's also a mentor. He's also a Zen master because how to calm people down. He's just a really sharp guy. So I mean, I would say to me,
you gotta wear a lot of hats. Huh?
And he's super talented. Has a great illustrious career. You're running probably the most visible winery in Napa Valley, for better or for worse. I mean, Opus One, everybody knows.
Everyone's gonna know the name.
You might say Harlan or Hourglass, and you're like, I've never heard that, but Opus One, everybody knows Opus.
Yeah.
So. I think he's kind of that guy. He's kind of the Bill Walsh right now in the valley of having young stewards.
I love it.
And stuff like that. But I mean, growing up with Bill Walsh, I mean, you see what his coaching tree. It's kind of fun now to start looking at what's your legacy of this. Where the people are. Who are you training? And where are they now? What are the wineries they running? And are they running them smoothly? And then you've taught them something.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Do you have a favorite sports dynasty?
Oh, the 49ers.
That was an easy question. Like, come on.
You know what's funny is I didn't see it coming though. I walked right into that wall and just bounced off.
I love Green Bay because Mike Holmgren touched the 49ers, and so I mean we love Holmgren. He's a local boy. Yeah, so he grew up in this area, so we loved him. And don't get me wrong, I mean you guys broke our hearts in the 90s. So,
I know. But y'all got us back.
Sorry, I know. You felt that more.
I know. I felt it now because it stings.
But the Niners, I love them because I mean it was super exciting. We didn't have anything before then. I mean there were no champ. I think the Warriors had won a couple championships in the 70s. Yeah, but really the Niners were garbage. I mean they had a couple NFC Championship game losses with like was it not Tittle? Was it Tittle? Anyways, but they just came out of nowhere with Walsh and his story, and then subsequent of what he built just is such an interesting.
Well, he did the first, like what the Packers did, Favre to Rodgers. I mean, having Montana to Steve Young, like you just don't see that as often as you feel like you should. In like
that careful succession
in the NFL, where it's
but
like
even Garcia was a good player.
And Garcia,
and then you have now. I mean, then you had. But then you have
just developing.
Well, you guys had Love after that from Roger.
Exactly,
Love,
I know.
He's doing great, and I think.
But they took a piece of that, I think, from like Ron Wolf and like the the Holmgrens and like just being like, okay, this is an important piece. If you can't get it right, you are going to struggle for multiple years.
No
You're going to be
chance.
the Cleveland Browns, and nobody wants that.
Well, I mean, look at Favre. I mean, how did he see Favre? How did Holmgren look at Favre as a number 2 quarterback in Atlanta and say that guy is going to be not only a starter, but a Hall of Famer and a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
So, seeing talent, but knowing like people and that hunger and that drive, right?
I have a couple thoughts real quick as we enjoy this. One is I think
we need
Jordan.
to get to the last one, and then
Jordan Love is an excellent example of what you were talking about as far as he's not Aaron Rodgers.
No.
And he would actually hurt himself to try and be. But he clearly
took his own path.
Some of those kernels and applied them well. And it's a joy to watch. Like, and as a person, he's a very easy person to root for. Like, as a person, we love Aaron, and he's our guy. But I think Aaron's probably as excited or more excited than anybody else to see Jordan succeed, because that's the guy he is. But when we talk about homegrown heroes or those hometown winners, talking about like your Blueline Estate, right? Like there is something as a community, Napa Valley community, as Green Bay Packer community, it feels really good to see the people who grew up in it have great success.
Well, especially Jeff. Jeff grew up here. I mean, and it was a much different time back. And I moved here in '93, and I could tell you, it was a lot different even now. And Jeff was a kid here,
right?
And he knows all these people. He has all the stories, and it's just, like I said earlier, it's a one-horse town when it comes to people. I mean,
Sure.
And especially if you know Holly or something like. And I don't mean to keep bringing Holly up, but I know she's
our favorite.
I mean, this is our it's our podcast together.
She's so good at what she did. I'm always giving her a hard time that she's doing the.
She's changed a little.
Well, she's doing the business a disservice by not being a GM of another winery.
Right.
Because you not only have winemaking, but you have people who understand sales and marketing.
Yeah,
she's
she
so good, and
all.
she hit the market. And we were sort of missing that in the Valley. I think she could mentor people that way to be good sales.
Well, I know. Okay, so we were talking to Brian about that before, coming on, and I think that's kind of the new wave, right? Is like needing to directly affect consumers.
Well,
right?
thank you, Mason, because that was the segue I was trying to
Here
get
we
to.
go. Wah.
So now we're sitting watching the NBA, and guys are walking in with glasses of wine and putting it down as they're having. So for us, and with our mission with this podcast, is we really want to see people craft a routine of not burning out and enjoying their food with their wine and all of that. But I don't think it's a secret that between COVID and different things, Napa has faced new challenges far as how are we engaging people, and so
finding ways to share and engage and
and to me,
I love wine for sharing it with
sports
others.
has always been that link almost. You're seeing now these very famous athletes who are like true wine connoisseurs, right?
Yeah.
Like,
No.
like
I mean,
beyond, they're like aspirational. These guys know what they're talking about. They are tracking what they're drinking.
Who was it in the
they're
NBA
sharing
finals? That was
Josh Hart.
Josh Hart.
Yeah.
He was saying, "I'm going to drink these wines as we win games and get closer to the finals."
And so you've got Holly, who you're kind of missing as that integral cog in this Napa Valley machine of getting the mission out. What are you seeing? Like, what do you think is either I don't want to say the missing component, because I don't think it's bad that what worked for a long time has shifted. Like we want to change. We don't want to stay the same. So how is Napa going to move into this next chapter of welcoming more and more people in, if the old crowd is maybe not coming as much as they used to?
I think now more than ever, I think, look, the baby boomers, you're never going to replace those people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a
They were
large
just a
group of
wine
people. And
juggernaut.
if you say, I've rode 30 years. I said 30 years. 1994, most of those guys were anywhere between 32 and 37.
Okay.
Now they're 62 to 67, 68, and they have 9,000 bottles within their cellar.
Yeah.
I think it's just going back to what I said earlier, what Jeff Smith does so well, and what I think a lot of wineries are trying to get back to is just why? What are we doing? Why do we do it?
Yeah.
And I think people buying into that and just being honest, open, happy, and just we are who we are.
Yeah.
You're gonna come see it. You're gonna get a day with us.
Yeah.
And there's nothing fancy or pretentious about this.
Yeah.
It's just when you see Brian or you see Ian here, or Miguel. I mean, we are who we are. We're just selling Hourglass. We're selling Jeff and Carolyn's idea. The wines I'm crafting, we're all, and you can come and join us here at the winery, and there's Adrian. He's racking wine right now. He's coming, hey, during harvest, I tell people to keep their hands out of the equipment, but you can come up and look at it. It wasn't any different. I think people really want that experience.
Yeah.
I think the days of come belly up to a bar and taste some wines is over. Now there's a place for that.
Sure.
But I think this type of tasting where we sit and talk and you get to know people, and you leave with a better understanding of who they are. Now you might not like them, so that maybe it doesn't resonate for you. That's okay.
People are wanting to invest in the brand and
100%.
what you're creating. And I think social media, the influencer world, all that has created some of that, right?
Where I think that's something that I think a winery does have to have that to get people in. I'm an old guy, so I poo-poo it. It's like, social media.
I know. I'm there with you. And our producers get your life together.
100%. And
this is it. This is how we market now.
Yeah, no, you are. And I had a person tell me this the other day. Yeah, Tony, you make great wines. I said, well, thank you. He goes, but you don't understand that you are a media company. You're your own media company. And you have to. It's the worst words to hear, but it's very true.
Sure.
As long as if it's in your voice and in your words,
and it's
then
real and
it's
authentic.
The minute you are hiring companies and try to be something you're not, people can see through it now.
Yeah. Well, I think 25 years ago, it was like, do I really need a website for my business?
Yeah.
And now we'd be like, it's suicidal not to.
Well, no, it's so funny. I tried that with my little winery. I tried to just I want to write a handwritten letter.
I'm gonna newsletter and get paper out to people.
If a tree falls in the forest, does anybody hear it? I'll tell you, yeah, they do. No one called. No. So it was a mistake, but you think these things work, and you understand. I still believe at some point that type of campaign will work again.
Sure.
Yes.
Where super like, oh my
Stuff
God, a
always
handwritten
cycles.
letter.
We're just gonna have to burn out to go back to it. But
we're gonna get over consumed and concentrated with all this stuff coming at us, and it's be like, oh man, that's like personal touch.
Yeah, handwritten
really nice.
letter with a signature.
But I also think this wine is it too. Like as far as
23 estates.
Okay.
This is the estate.
So this
that Jeff
is
grew
the
up
estate,
on.
not Blueline.
Yeah, this is so this is on Lodi Lane, but it's very interesting because it's volcanic soils on the western hills. So we're right by Vineyard 29 here. This vineyard's probably within
it smells so darn good.
a bike ride. I mean, maybe you could probably the way Brian over there hits a golf ball, it's a driver and 2-3 woods. All joking aside, it's a wedge shot. It's a wedge shot over the thing. So
I feel like this is your calling card for this whole line. Like if someone's not sure if they love wine, or you sit this in front of them and they're going to be a believer.
Yep. This is the property Jeff grew up on. It's 4 acres, 100% Cabernet. This is the wine that when I came on, Bob Foley had already sort of made this wine sort of a cult wine. I mean, again, that word is overused, but we were one of the first 10 or 12 wines in that era, because we were 97 was the first vintage, where people were like, we had way more signups than we ever had wine. So
I love that it's 100% one varietal too, because it gives you a real, like for someone like me who's not a wine expert, just a wine enjoyer, gives me a chance to really understand what Cabernet is.
Yeah, and it's always more chocolatey. It's always a little bit more. It's one clone of Cabernet too, so it's always a little more pomegranate. So it's always a crowd pleaser. It's always the tannins are always plush. The vines are 30 years old. So
wow.
Excuse me. Let's talk about you a little bit though. So you are loving what you're doing here.
Absolutely.
You have a clear vision of, what success looks like to you as you're savoring every harvest and helping those underneath you come up the same way you were helped. But I do think there's maybe a little new horizon for you. You have a new project.
I have my own wine. I make Patria, so I started that in 2013, and that's been really fun. It's still small. I still, my clients.
Handwritten notes and whatnot.
Yeah, it didn't work. And a really poor social media presence, so it's even better.
Exactly.
But no, the wines do well. I make about 1,000 cases a year, mostly
nice.
Oakville Cabernet with a little bit of Oakville Cabernet Franc and some Chardonnay.
Oh, nice.
So super fun, but for Sonoma Coast. The Chardonnay's from Sonoma Coast.
Oh, wow. All right.
But it's been fun, and that part of the reason Jeff was very kind to let me do that.
Awesome.
I make them here at Hourglass. I make the reds at Hourglass, and I make my whites at somewhere else with a little colder space.
Okay.
We make Chardonnay here as well, but the style I'm trying to craft is a little different, so I wanted some colder ferments. So, but yeah, it's been super fun. I mean, in the end, I realized a long time ago, it's hard. I mean, you're chasing things your whole career, but I realized I'll never have private jet money. So if
Once we just take that off the table.
yeah, well, no, it sounds funny, but I eat what I want to eat. I drink what I want to drink. I take vacations where I want to go.
You're living the life you want to live.
And I go to restaurants. I mean, my daughter's healthy and happy, just graduated from college.
Oh, thank
I
God.
mean, once you look
It's
at
a
that,
lot.
once you look at that in that perspective, like I have a really good life. I'm very blessed,
Yeah.
and there's always negatives and there's always hardships in everybody's life, but
Yeah.
overall, I guess I just came out, with ADHD and a positive attitude of just I've always been half full.
I kind of
So-
want that T-shirt.
love
ADHD and a positive attitude.
Yeah, so,
That should be. Yeah, that
Try
could be a
and stop
selling-
me.
Yeah, I guess it's positive. My mom would always say to me, she goes, "I don't understand you. You've been through a lot of ups and downs in life, but you're always positive." And I said, maybe it came out that way. I don't know.
What's
love
your
that.
What's your 3 things that you tell the kids all the time?
Attitude, energy, and effort.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
attitude that he always says first.
Yeah.
Yep.
know,
I'm
it's
like, you can
attitude.
control, those are your 3 controllables.
Yep.
And I mean, I've heard that my whole athletic career, and it's just like, you get so mad whenever some coach or someone says that to you. You're like, but you're
Yeah.
like, gosh, it really makes sense.
It's-
Those are the 3
Extreme
things
ownership.
you can control.
those-
Extreme ownership.
You can control those, and it's so funny you should say that. It's exactly right. And what was it? Someone else said to me along those lines. It was a great thing. Oh, I often jokingly tell people, when their mistakes are made. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. Either you don't know,
Yeah.
or you don't care.
Yeah.
And not knowing is acceptable.
Yeah,
Not
but if you
caring
don't care,
isn't.
you're not going to work here.
Exactly.
But if you don't know, just ask. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's
Yeah.
okay not to know. As it goes, going back to the bear, one of the greats. There's 2 ways of learning, and in the show you have to watch because it's really good.
Yeah.
The bear Carmi is really aggressive and doesn't share and super controlling. But his best friend and who he came up with, who he sends the baker to go work with in Norway, or sorry. At
I'm
sort
gonna
of
have
a
to watch
Noma
the
like
show.
restaurant,
I know. We
sort of
gotta-
the Noma
we gotta
type
dive
restaurant in
into it.
Copenhagen. And he goes, "Do you know how to make shiso gilet?" And the guy's like, right away goes, "Yes, I do." And 5 minutes later, he can tell he doesn't know how to make
He
it. So
doesn't
he
know.
hands him the recipe. Instead of yelling at him, he hands him the recipe.
Yeah.
And there's 2 types of, if you don't know, just ask. It's
Just
okay.
ask.
We can work, And
Yeah.
and I think the trust is there that they can do that. And
Yeah.
I think that's really what you want to tell people. But
I love that.
in the moment, you screw them a bit.
Exactly.
So,
Well, I love that our tastings brought us to these 2 where we're looking at kind of like the history of Jeff with the 36 and why we should cheer for our hometown heroes and why it feels
Yeah.
so good when they're successful,
Yeah.
when the team's successful, and then kind of this like, I know this is 1,000% the wrong things to say, but almost like a welcome mat. Like I feel like this estate Cabernet Sauvignon should be like the welcome mat
it's
to
showing
Napa
really
Valley.
well. I mean,
'cause
I
it's-
looked over at Brian because I'm like, wow, I'm really happy where it is. It's
It
funny. They're
tastes-
like,
it's amazing.
when
It's
you
just
bottle these
really
wines,
easy to
it's gonna
like.
sound funny. You bottle them and you forget about them because you have 2 more vintages in barrel.
You're, like,
There's
still
24
working.
We're
Yeah,
just
you
bottling
just
the
keep
24s
working.
now, and the 25s we're just cleaning up, racking them right now.
Yeah.
So you don't go back to them enough, and then I'll taste them when we have tours and tastings.
Yeah.
And so it's funny to sit here and actually sort of dissect them and be super happy where they end up. So
That's gotta
there
be
are
fun.
times where you're not as happy.
exactly.
I'm not gonna
You're
lie
like,
to you.
"Oh,
You're
gosh."
Whoa,
Well,
I don't know what happened here. So
And this
Exactly.
has been fantastic. Like I can't think of a better guest to represent this idea of building something over time. I think it feels really good when you're thinking about consuming wine, coming to Napa, and having a winnable situation.
Yeah.
Like if your goal is to be with people you care about, eat what you want to eat,
Yeah.
drink what you want to drink, and count your blessings every day, like you can win at that. That's something that you can have extreme ownership of.
Yeah,
like you
100%.
can
I
you
like
can
that,
do these
extreme
things.
ownership.
But if we come back next time for a tasting and you've gone Belichick on us and like cut off the sleeves, I'd love to know.
No, not gonna do that. Not gonna do that.
I'd be really interested to hear how we took that turn. But just a final cheers to you.
Okay, I'm good.
He needs a little.
I'm good. I'm fine. That's enough. I can still
Just
I can still sip.
to your team,
Thank you.
to all the good that you all have done, and to just one of many harvests.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes.
Cheers.
Who you share it with.
Well, that's it for this pour. Thanks for spending time with Crosby's crew. If you tried one or all of the wines from today's episode, we want to hear about it. Head to our socials and let us know which one was your favorite and why.
Curious about what we're tasting next? Check the lineup and send us your questions. We'll be answering them in the upcoming episodes. Nothing's too nerdy or too simple. If you're wondering, someone else is probably wondering too.
And hey, before you go, just a reminder that drinking and driving is never okay. Please enjoy wine responsibly. Always have a designated driver lined up before the bottles open and consume in moderation.
Until next time, cheers from the crew.